everyone. This is Sally McKenzie, and I'm the CEO of McKenzie Management, which is a nationwide dental practice management company that helps dental practices reach their true potential. Thank you so much for taking the time in your schedule to be with me today. A special thanks to Viva Learning for getting this webinar to you live. And I want you to be sure and visit their website, vivalearning.com, where you will find over 600 on-demand courses for dentists, hygienists, assistants, and business staff. And I also invite you to go to my website at practicemanagementlearning.com, where you will find all of my archived on-demand courses for your self-continuing education study. So tonight's webinar is to teach you to establish the concept and actual scripts that are going to help you to be more profitable. So we know that top salespeople throughout the world, people selling cell phones to cars to real estate agents to selling shoes in a shoe store, they've been taught to use their best-selling proposition on their customers. And many times we'd like to not think of patients as customers, but they are. We have a service to sell, we provide treatment, and they pay us. And we've got to keep them happy. So the more that these top salespeople convince the customers to buy, obviously the more money is made. So putting time and energy into what is going to be the best phrases, the best combination of words, that historically that you see brings you the reaction that you want. So for example, I guarantee you that you go to a comedy club and a stand-up comedian, they learn through trial and error what makes the audience laugh. They know what phrases, what jokes that they tell is going to get the reaction that they want. So it's that connection with your patients that will bring you the best results. And that's what we're after. But first, what kind of negative impact can team members have when they're communicating with patients? And I have doctors that contact me and they are just like, oh my gosh, I heard her say this the other day, and it just made me cringe. So, doctor, I'd like you to spend a little time eavesdropping over the next week or so. And I want you to listen carefully to how members of your team, how your employees are handling day-to-day communication, patient communication. And the chances are pretty clear that you're going to hear exchanges similar to such as, like, Mr. Collins, would you like to schedule that crown appointment now? No, I'll give you a call when I'm ready. Or maybe the typical exchange is more like this. Hi, Carol, this is Marlene from Dr. Thomas's office. Will you be able to make your appointment Tuesday? No, I'm sorry, I have a conflict. I'll let you know when my schedule frees up. Or perhaps this is more common in your practice. Mrs. Jones, how would you like to pay today? Oh, you can just bill me. You may hear variations on all of the scenarios that I just mentioned, but one thing will be consistent, and that is the negative impact that each verbal exchange with the patient has on the profitability of your practice. And of course, I'm going to focus tonight on the verbal communication, the verbal exchange, but we must not forget now this constant communication that is becoming, more so all the time, which would be through email communication. So the written word is just as powerful as the verbal. But in each of these scenarios that I just went over, the patient is controlling the outcome, whether it's your collections, your schedule, or your recall system. And the team member, they've relinquished that control without realizing that there might be a better way to keep practice systems as well as the patient relations intact. And this is why then I recommend scripting, especially your most important patient interactions. So what are the benefits of scripting? Well, number one, it's definitely understandable that you can have a lack of confidence when you're speaking to a patient, especially as an employee that you've had no training, little training, or you have little experience in that area. And, you know, dentists just naturally have an expectation, it's an unspoken expectation that, oh, you know, you've got 1 year experience or 25 years experience, well, you should just know what to say. And it just doesn't work that way. Patients can be very difficult, and they can be very challenging at times. And when you utilize a script, however, you improve your preparation for all the different directions that the conversation may go, and as a result, it really does improve your confidence. Number two, now depending on the subject of the conversation, you certainly stand the chance of facing some type of potential rejection by the patient, whether it's trying to convince them to go forward with a treatment plan or just trying to keep their 3 o'clock appointment. So scripting will help your level of preparation with what to say and what to ask the patient. Number three, you'll also be more prepared, and you're going to sound a lot more polished when you work from a script. And I'm not implying that you read from a piece of paper. No. You have to learn it. Like you were in a play at school, and you have to rehearse it, and you have to role play it until you learn the scripts and it becomes a part of you. And of course, the more that you understand the reasoning and the education of why this script is going to be the best, it's just like part of your knowledge base. And this in turn then improves the impression that you made on the patient about you. And of course, what the patient thinks about you in turn gives the practice, good rating as well. And it's going to ensure that you're going to get a positive impact on the flow of the conversation. And of course, ultimately, that's what you're after. So, what are the more benefits? Let's talk about more benefits of scripting. Well, patients are going to have more respect for you when they see you are prepared and polished. If they see that you're stumbling, over words, or you finally just say, well, I don't know the answer to that, or they just don't have the confidence, and they have to have, and many of these people, coming in for the first time, and so it's about building the rapport and the trust with the patient. It also makes the patient feel more comfortable speaking with you because now they know that you can help them and you're going to have answers to your questions. It also will improve your effectiveness. So sometimes you just don't have much time with a patient. You got 2 patients coming down the hall, and the dental supply rep is just dropped by, and the phone's ringing, and you know the picture. So you have to grab their attention sometimes pretty quickly and build the interest. Whether you've got a patient you're trying to get them to pay their bill again, or trying to accept a treatment plan, or trying to, get them to make an appointment. But using a proven, and I want to emphasize the key word proven script, that improves your consistency, will improve your overall effectiveness when you're having a conversation with the patient. So you develop a script that you have to test You have to test them out. You have to test it out. You have to test it out on your coworkers. I test it out on family and friends, and then you just practice it and you execute it over and over. And each time you do it with a patient, then make a mental note or make a written note of the results. Monitor your results of how the patient responded, how did the patient act, did you get the response that you wanted? And once you write it, you do it, and you start using it, then you'll be able to know, yes, this script and this approach is going to ensure best practices for your practice. So why should you incorporate scripting in your practice? And a lot of people, we've heard people scripting because they think that even just the thought of it sounds fake. But you can get a script to become you and to become how you would present it. But to exude confidence is really important. And also, we're not talking about body language or hand gestures tonight, but that also plays into it as well. Having an open palm with your hand, for example, when you're explaining, and if the patient is like nearby, I highly recommend that you just kind of lay a hand on their forearm, for example, when it's appropriate. Well, it helps. Scripting is definitely going to help the employees, and even including the dentist owner, and it helps you to stay on the message and gives everyone a guide to follow to, so they can help get compliance from the patients. It also gives team members a ready series of statements to help them overcome patient objections. And there's all different kinds of objections. I'm going to go over quite a few of those this evening. And the scripts also ensure that everyone is saying the same thing, that everybody's on the same page. And that scripting needs to reflect what the practice's vision is, the mission, and what the culture is of your practice. So for example, when new patients call the practice, a script helps the team to ensure that no matter who takes the call, that they're prepared to gather necessary information. Or when it comes to collections, a script is going to enable even those who are going to be the most shy about requesting payment from the patients to do so more effectively and, of course, with confidence. And if you don't have scripts, then it will definitely be assured that the different employees, different team members are going to say different things. And therefore, you're never going to know which words or questions or phrases are going to be the most effective. These reasons then will result in more patient acceptance, patients paying for their treatment, keeping their appointments, and coming back for their periodic exam, just to name a few. And then, of course, it also improves the overall customer service of the practice, and that we're going to refer to as internal marketing of the practice. And it just gives an overall feeling by the patient that, boy, this practice has got their act together. So the best scripts are definitely ones that use words and phrases and questions that prompt the patient to respond the way that you want them to respond. So I want you to think back on any communication that you have with anybody. Let's just say it's your boyfriend. And let's say that your objective is to have him take you out to dinner to your favorite restaurant. I want you to think back on all the times that he said, yes, I would love to, darling. Well, how did you say that? What did you say that prompted him to say, yes, I'd love to do that. And that's the kind of response that you want to try to get out of the patients, not, yes, darling, let's go to dinner. And, of course, bribes are, you know, I know sometimes you bribe them to get you to take you out to dinner, but that's not the point. The point is that once you find the right or very close to right way to sell something to someone, why would you ever change it? Of course, every patient is different. We've got hyperactive patients, we got slow patients, we've got introverted patients, we have extroverted patients, we have patients with, low self-esteem, high self-esteem, and so on and so forth. But the objective is to get the response you want from the patients. And scripts help you to maintain control of the conversation. Keep it on track and take it to the point of getting a positive reaction, which, again, is what you're ultimately after. So if you're not in control of the conversation, then the patient, and that's like when the patient says, well, I will call you, or I'll pay you when I want, or I want to come in at this time. They're in control. And as soon as they have put themselves in control of the conversation because the scripting and what was said was not right, then you're out of control. And then your chances of trying to get back into control to get what you want from the patient absolutely becomes slimmer. I do believe and I know that there are definitive words, that you can use in your scripting that encourage patients to take desired action. So I want you to look at these words and phrases that these express conviction, such as definitely. We definitely need to reevaluate that upper right side. Instead of, well, I think that we do. Okay, that shows a lot of passivity. I'm not really sure. And how about, absolutely. See, absolutely, I absolutely agree with you, if you do agree with them. Absolute, the word absolutely is a very strong term as well. Let me recommend that Mary, our hygienist, show you the bleaching technique that you've been reading about. All right, so instead of, well, you have to ask, or you're going to have to ask so-and-so, to do that. Maybe you don't know anything about the bleaching technique, but, let me recommend that I have Mary, do that for you. Certainly is another good one. Certainly, I will tell doctor about your concern with that crown. Another one is, I assure you that you will be out by 4 o'clock today. Instead of, yeah, that's the way we usually do it. No, that's not professional. It's not with confidence. You'll be really surprised the reaction you're going to get when you begin using these types of words in your conversations. These remove doubt, and they bring certainty, and they give the patient more confidence in you and the practice, helping to diffuse their objections to keeping an appointment, again, paying their bill, scheduling a treatment plan, whatever it might be. These are also some great comebacks that I've learned and I've used over the years working with dental practices and in my own business as well. And the first one is, would you be so kind as to whatever? Would you be, whatever you want, would you be so kind to ask your husband, or would you be so kind to pay your portion today? Because if whoever you're talking to says, no, I'm not doing that, then they're basically saying, well, no, I'm not doing it, and I'm not kind. I'm not kind, I don't want to be kind, I'm not kind, okay? So that's a good one right there. Would you be so kind? How do you think that will work for you? So in other words, if a patient is saying something to you about something that they're going to do. Well, I'm going to, wait and see, how much pain this gives me. They're always going to wait and see. Well, I think I'm going to wait until, I'm going to wait till after Christmas or whatever it might be. How do you think that will work for you? Or how did that work for you? Okay? Because usually it did not work well for them. Another one is how do you feel about whatever it could be? How do you feel about improving the appearance of your smile? How do you feel about being able to not worry about what you're putting on the right side of your mouth, chewing to eat for dinner? Another one, that's a reasonable question, or that's a good question. So you don't want anybody to ever think that their question is stupid or dumb, or what kind of stupid question is that? Every question they have, it's a reasonable question, or it's a good question. That's a good question. Let me get you the answer on that. You don't need to say, I don't know the answer. Just say, let me get you the answer for that. I understand how you feel, but let me assure you that Dr. Jones will always have your best interests at heart. So I understand how you feel. That is showing, you are recognizing and sharing with them that you are hearing what they're saying about how they feel. You're not discounting it at all. Thank you for sharing your concerns and feelings, no matter what it is. So somebody is sharing with you how they feel and or what kind of concerns that they have, and always come back and thank them for doing that. We respect your decision, and we want you to know that we are here for you. So if the patient's decision is, I can't stand this place, I'm never coming back here again, and I'm going to stiff you with that $100 bill you just charged me for, we respect your decision, and we want you to know, whatever it might be, we want you to know that we're here for you, or we want you to know, sometimes I've said, that we'll have your records here in safekeeping, when you decide the time is better for you. They're going for another opinion. We respect your decision, and we want you to know that, we're here for you. Any questions that you have whatsoever. So that's always a good one. We respect your decision. I can certainly appreciate how you feel. I can certainly appreciate how busy your schedule is. Again, it's acknowledgement of whatever the patient is saying to you. Well, attitude is real important, and a positive mental attitude goes hand in hand with a positive self-image. So if you become discouraged easily because your feelings are easily hurt when a patient rejects you, that's just going to come out. The patient's going to see that. So if you become discouraged easily or expect that you will not make any appointments, how do you think that the patients perceive that? So a winning self-image is something that can be developed. And developing an effective script and practicing it until the desired result is actually achieved is very crucial. You need to know that that script inside and out. And so it doesn't sound, canned, because you've practiced it until it's letter perfect, and you don't want to be thrown off track with interruptions and distractions. So there are many other excellent reasons for using a plan presentation. And for one thing, when you do, all the facts that you're covering them every single time, and nothing then is accidentally left out. Also, bad habits are minimized. And another significant benefit is that knowing what you're going to say and knowing that it works just simply gives you confidence. And remember that a confused patient is going to have difficulty in making an appointment decision. Instead, they hem and haw, not wanting to make a commitment, especially one that involves spending money. So the easiest thing for them to do is to procrastinate by delaying, making the appointment. So perhaps more than anything else, when you have a planned script, it gives you the direction. The exact route to your destination has been carefully considered, and so without this script or without this map, you easily become sidetracked as soon as a patient throws an objection in your way, and you lose your sense of what it is that you want to accomplish in the first place, especially if you have a lack, if you're lacking in self-confidence. So when you've worked out the script and you've practiced it until you can deliver it very well, then you definitely are going to program yourself to success. Yes, the fee is too high. Now that is a common patient objection. Absolutely. It's probably one of the more common statements that can be made by patients is that your fee is too high. Now some of them are so bold as to tell you that, and some of them just don't say that. They kind of dance around the issue. But if they're saying it right, out to you, then let's look at some possible scripting scenarios for that. So you can see here where I have written, so you always say the patient's name, because hearing your name spoken are the sweetest words in the English language to your ears is your name. So, you can say, Mrs. Smith, I understand it is a significant investment. Perhaps I can make your decision clearer or a little more clear by talking about what will happen to your mouth or to your teeth, and also your budget, your financial budget, if you decide to wait. Unlike some other health problems that go away on their own sometimes, dental problems just don't go away. They have a tendency to only get worse. So the longer you wait, the greater risk of your needing blah, 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 blah. May I go over our payment choices with you to see which would work best for you and your family. Now, you need to say this as much as you can, from your heart, with a look of concern on your face, but feel that when you're saying, feel it when you're saying it. You're putting yourself in their shoes, and you do, understand that. Or you might also even try to head off any comments about the fees in the first place by your bringing up the issue first. So, for example, I would say, like, we realize. Now, you notice I took I out of that situation. I didn't say I realize. I said we realize. So when you take, it's like instead of saying I estimate your insurance, you always say our computer estimates your insurance. So take you out of that. So we realize this is a significant investment in your oral health. So may I go over our payment choices with you to see which works best for you? You notice I did not say payment options. I said our payment choices with you to see which would work best for you. Okay, so here's another scenario too that you can think about using with the fees. Thank you for sharing your feelings about our fees. We base our fees on the level of expertise of Dr. Smith and our team and our ongoing commitment to stay abreast of dental research. the use of state-of-art technology, the amount of time needed, and the materials and the skill to perform the procedure. And that, you should know that one like the back of your hand, because that is absolutely the truth of how fees are set, how they are established in a practice. I've heard some people say, you know, we're really proud of our fees, or I don't think you need to say that's necessarily the case. If somebody said, well, you know, that's just way too much. Your fees are way too high. Mrs. Jones, would you be so kind as to share with me why you feel that way? Would you be so kind as to share with me? Perhaps you have gotten an idea about dental fees from another source. Could you share that with me? Okay, and you just say, would you be so kind? And she said, nope, I'm not telling you the fees. Then she's saying she's not kind. Okay, so, well, I really respect your feelings, Mrs. Jones. I really respect that. Okay, how about insurance inquiries? And those are always the most troubling and oftentimes the most irritating. So, if you're unhappy with your dental insurance, you might want to talk to your employer about why they chose a plan that doesn't cover the full fee for this treatment. Now, that can be, that's right to the point. I'm not putting in the fluff before and the fluff, you know, after it. I'm just getting, you know, right to the point. Because the patient's dental insurance absolutely is a result of the employer, what the employer is providing for them. And this is common, too, for the patient to say, well, I can only do this if my insurance will pay for it. Well, what will my insurance pay? Mrs. Jones, that is a reasonable question. I really don't know exactly what your insurance will help you with for this type of procedure. The amount of assistance depends on the contract between your employer and the insurance company. And this is true too. There are some key words in that particular one, which is the amount of assistance. Not necessarily like how much they're going to pay or whatever. The amount of assistance depends on the contract between the employer and the insurance company. And I also want to point out where it says, I really don't know exactly what your insurance will help you with for this type of procedure. Mrs. Brown, according to your plan administrator, you are eligible for coverage as of such and such a date, and your employer has purchased a package for you that includes the following benefits and coverage. And if you have that information, and you can stay that on the computer. The plan that you have has a small per calendar year benefit of $1,000. Your employer has provided this benefit to, of course, help you get some of the dental care that you need, but it does not cover all of the cost. According to your plan representative, you must pay the deductible of X and a co-payment of X percentage on the fillings and another percentage on the crowns. They have allowed you to have 2 preventative professional cleanings a year and to encourage you to, of course, seek the preventative care. You will use up the $1,000 and then you'll be responsible for a payment of $550 out of your pocket. So you are ahead by most people by $1,000, and this is good. So always kind of repeat the upside on that as well. So once we get your treatment completed, we'll put you on a preventative program, and you'll benefit from the yearly professional cleanings and exams offered by your insurance company. This is also a good analogy that we teach our practices as well. So, for example, an analogy helps the patient to see in perspective really what is happening here. Ford Motor Company introduced the Mustang in April of 1964, you see on the left. And about the same time, dental insurance began to be a common benefit offered to employees by companies around the U.S. In 1964, the Mustang cost about $2,500, and dental insurance benefits at that time averaged about $1,000 per year. Today, that Ford Mustang retails around $25,000. Fully loaded can be up to $51,000. And dental insurance benefits today remain at about the same $1,000 per year. So, Mrs. Jones, today's dental coverage is not meant to restore your mouth to ideal oral health, but today's dental coverage is meant to maintain your oral health after you have completed any necessary restorations. So from an educational point of view, to you that are having to present this to patients, there's many reasons why dental insurance plan benefits have not increased accordingly with dental procedure costs. And the main reason is that the dental insurance companies just can't make a large profit off of dental insurance as they can other insurance products. And this is due to the fact that if one has dental insurance, they're most likely going to use it. Unlike health insurance, dental insurance customers will absolutely use their benefits yearly. But many people carry health insurance, and sometimes they don't even see the doctor all year. So insurance companies base their profitability on having a pool of insurance customers where many of them don't use the product at all. And if everyone uses the insurance product, then the profit margins are very small. Now, I'm not telling you that to I got to tell the patient. I'm just telling you to try to educate you of why these dental benefits are, just not where the patient absolutely thinks they should be. Okay, how about new patients? Hi, I'd like to know if you take my Delta dental insurance plan. We do accept Delta dental plans. Dr. Smith is not in network, but yes, we still file your insurance claim for you on your behalf, and your insurance pays our office directly. There's only a nominal difference in our fee and Delta Dental's proposed fee. We can discuss it, however, before your appointment. I do have an opening this Wednesday at 3 p.m. Does that work with your schedule? So you see where this scripting is being in control. It's answering the question. It's not being avoidant. It's not being going into great detail about it, but it's getting the patient back in focus on, I have an opening, and does that work for you? Here's another one. I'd like to make an appointment to have all my teeth extracted and an upper denture. Okay, are mornings or afternoons best for you? So your objective, and I've talked about this in other webinars, is not, I don't want you to create a barrier to entry of the new customer making an appointment and keeping it. Obviously, you can't win over every patient, but with this type of script, the office would definitely get more patients to schedule than simply saying, I'm sorry, but Dr. Smith is not a provider of Delta Dental. Oh, okay, thanks, bye. These days, patients are more insurance motivated to make appointments. So in order to gain new patients, it's imperative that everyone on the team has a script to convert phone calls, inquiries into appointments, so that your objective is to get the patient in the door. And so a lot of the more common, many of the front office people, because they haven't been trained, because there isn't a script, they will say exactly the truth, what it is. I need to make an appointment, after 4:30. oh, I'm sorry, but, we take our last appointment at 3:30, or I'm sorry, but that's a really busy time for us. The patient doesn't care about that. They could care less. I don't care, how busy you are. I want to make an appointment. So having these types of things cuts down the barriers, because we have a lot of offices that are like, oh, I need more new patients, I need more new patients. But the problem is they have all these barriers to entry that they put up of where a new patient can't even get through on the first phone call. How about collections? Well, I'm calling about your account balance of $250, and our records show that we haven't received a payment since May the 10th. Would you be so kind as to tell me when we could expect payment? So you see in there again on my comeback, would you be so kind? Mrs. Smith, today, Dr. Jones performed 2 fillings on the upper left that entailed 5 surfaces of the 2 teeth plus medication and anesthetic for a total of $250. Will you be paying that today by cash check or credit card? So in both scenarios, you will note that there is no yes or no answer. And this is important in scripting. That is, I want you to try to avoid having a closed-ended question that results in yes or no. Sometimes you just can't help it, but try your best to avoid that, because it stops the conversation and it takes you out of the driver's seat, so to speak. So in collecting money as the patient is dismissed, make sure in your scripting that you are reiterating everything that the dentist did. You can see in the script in the white there, Mrs. Smith, today Dr. Jones performed. We very rarely ever see this. It would just be Mrs. Jones, today was $250. And then they might say, will you be paying that by today by cash or credit card? But when you reiterate that there was anesthetic and there was medicaments, what you want to do is create value in the mind of the patient. I was hesitating because I was thinking about my own personal situation and going to a dentist, and I said, I had a consultation. Well, how much is that going to cost? And it was, they didn't tell me. I had to ask, how much is that going to be? And the comment was, well, the fee for Delta is a little different. Well, golly, Nancy, I don't want to hear that. What does that mean? The fee is more? If I would have heard, well, Delta or didn't have Delta. I don't want to hear that. So sometimes you can just be too doggone honest, and sometimes you just don't want to be quite that open to the patient. How about scheduling? I need to cancel my appointment. Come back would be, the doctor will be very sorry to hear that. May I tell him the reason? Well, that really puts somebody on edge. And of course, if it's a flimsy excuse, well, I forgot that I had to do this and that and the other. I mean, the idea is hopefully maybe they'll change their mind, make them feel a little bit, guilty. I will call you back. Now, that is where the patient has got themselves in control constantly. Not right now. I'll give you a call back. And here you have a patient that's canceling again and again and again. Mr. Jones, we are obviously having trouble coordinating a time that is convenient for you and for our office. I'm going to enter your appointment information on our to-be-appointed priority list, and as soon as I have an open time, I will call you. Guess what? I'm right back in control again. And so I'm not going to, there's all kinds of situations with that, especially if the patient is just really being a jerk and they're just canceling. send them a bill for $500. Mr. Jones, you've done this to us 10 times. I've called you and confirmed your appointment. They don't want to be reprimanded. They do not want to be chastised over it. They do not want to be sent a charge. That was easy for me to say. A charge for the time when they didn't even come in or they didn't have anything done. That's just a no-no. So, it is correct to not insist or demand a patient schedule an appointment before they leave the office. That's the other thing. You can be really, some front office are just real pushy about that. Excuse me. However, the patient's required treatment needs to be put in the computer, and of course, it is your responsibility to follow up, from that information. But if you insist on scheduling an appointment, the message that you're sending to the patient is that you don't trust them. And so, especially when they say, oh, well, I will give you a call back. And it's fine. You can say, Mrs. Jones, that's fine. That's fine. I understand. I know your schedule's really busy. There's no problem. I can, for me to, if I don't hear from you in 2 weeks, I'll give you a call back. I'll give you a call myself. So try to keep the ball in your court. You've got to keep the monkey on your back. You cannot take the monkey off your back, give it to the patient, because you've got 3 people trying to check out, and you're in a hurry, and you're in a rush, and one person's on hold, and the second line's ringing. It's just easy for you to say, that's fine. Okay, just give me a call. Okay, bye. Thanks for coming in, And then you took the monkey off your back, put it on a patient, and the patient doesn't call. So, verbal skills are really important. So you want to make sure that the patient, doesn't feel like you're forcing them to make an appointment. So it's absolutely fine to say, that's fine. You can call me later, but I want you to take the responsibility to follow up with them. Make sure that you've got this entered in whatever, your treatment plan, unscheduled treatment plan report, or your unscheduled appointment feature of your computer. Otherwise, the information about the next appointment is just lost, and it's never referred to again. And then that's why you go into a practice and you see hundreds of thousands of dollars on the unscheduled, treatment plan report. Patient retention is another area. Contacting people that are past due for their professional cleaning and dental examination. Excuse me. Mrs. Jones, hi, this is Maria of Dr. Williams' office. I'm very happy I was able to reach you because our records indicate that your last professional cleaning and examination was in October of last year. In parentheses, note, I did not say your last cleaning and checkup. Don't want to ever say that. Your last professional cleaning examination was October of last year. And at that time, Dr. Williams noted that he wanted to reevaluate your gum condition in April, and it's now June. I'm sorry I have had a very difficult time reaching you. However, our hygienist Mary and doctor would have time available on Tuesday next week to see you at 4. So you're not saying, would you like to make an appointment? You've got an appointment. You just state it, bring it out there. But you have to have the information on this patient. You have to have the historical data on this patient. So we've made multiple attempts to contact you to schedule an appointment, and we don't want to assume that you are not interested in ever returning. But in the interest of time, we'll stop our efforts to reach you. Now, that's not necessarily a phone conversation. That can be in a letter. That could be in an email. So let me reiterate the key points there. We don't want to assume that you are not interested in ever returning to our practice, but in the interest of time, we will stop our efforts to reach you. Or sometimes I've just said, I just don't, want you to think that I'm, harassing you or I'm trying to bug you. We're just here to try to help you. So we sincerely care about your dental health, and we want you to know that your records will be here in safekeeping until you decide the time is right to return. Unscheduled treatment. Mrs. Jones? Hi, this is Pam from Dr. Long's office. How are you? Great. Dr. Long asked me about you because you had dental treatment that needed to be done from last February. And I think I remember at that time that money was posing a problem for you. And since we try to do everything possible to solve problems, Dr. Long wants you to know that we now have a relationship with Care Credit that will allow you to make small monthly payments for the treatment you need. You could even take part of that treatment plan, find out how much it is, and find out what the payments would be for that patient. I'm not getting sick, trust me. That's allergies. So before calling you, I called Care Credit and I found out that the treatment the doctor recommends can be paid for in monthly payments of X with no interest. How does that sound to you? Again, do you want to do that? No, I don't. Well, how does that sound to you? And that's an open-ended, question. So the idea is that hopefully someone has recorded very good notes into the patient's database regarding when the treatment plan was presented originally and of the reason and why the patient declined moving ahead. And of course, the patient's top concerns are money, fear, time. They don't perceive the need. So it's really important that you have to keep continual notes on these patients so that no matter who goes in, they've got, history on the patient and they can see. Role-playing, as I stated earlier, is extremely important. Role-playing your scripts are absolutely necessary once you have them written out. And because you get the feedback from, your friends, from other team members, even if the front office brings to one of the meetings, one of your weekly or monthly meetings, some questions that were posed to her that she doesn't know the answer to, and she didn't know the answer. Let's get these flushed out, start talking about it. Positive impact, training, role-playing training is going to make a real big difference because it really provides a lot of confidence building for the employee. Because it's frustrating for the employee, too, to not know what to say. So it really allows for a lot of self-awareness, and it might be the confidence that they need to do things differently, or confidence that comes from knowing that they're already doing a good job. So we hear a lot of positive feedback from staff once they have the confidence, they know what to say about these different scenarios. The staff feel valued. It gets right to the heart of the matter with the employees and their particular job description. And it also helps to create self-awareness because the employees become more aware of the impact that their behavior has on patients. You can do the role-playing in a very safe environment with your team members, and it'll ultimately bring out more solutions, more, as I said, you'll have more open discussion about it. And different scenarios. I mean, you should have probably some new scenarios every week that you have to talk about. Let's talk about a role-playing, example of a learning session. So use everyday examples and situation. So select a situation like we talked about, like insurance or the fees or contacting unscheduled treatment plans, people not wanting to convert from 6-month to 3-month recall. They're not paying their bills, whatever it might be. But use everyday examples. And then I want you to summarize the role play situation and, clarify the objective. So what is the objective of the script that you're writing, and clearly state the goals of what the learning session is going to be. Get people to volunteer. It doesn't have to always be the front office people, because the chairside assistants are going to get asked this, the hygienists are going to get asked, and so on and so forth. So, people need to volunteer. If they're not going to volunteer, then select employees to do this. I would then pick a facilitator of it. Act as a facilitator to jumpstart the section and make sure that it keeps going, and so on and so forth. Don't let it take too long. Keep it on track. And of course, when you're finished, make sure that you praise the team and debrief, and then who's going to be responsible for writing out what we talked about today. That would be the stated script. The frontline team, no ifs, ands, or buts, is extremely important, because patients can be lost at precisely the point where it all begins, which is the telephone. So make sure that you're answering the phone within 3 rings. Make sure that you're identifying yourself. Always say, how may I direct your call? If you have more than one front office employee up there, you'd like to schedule an appointment, that's great. Are mornings or afternoons best for you? Your objective has got to be to get the patient in the chair. And so I can't express that enough, to get the patient in. Once we get the patient in, then they can see how nice we are. Always thank the patient for calling and let them know that you look forward to seeing them. And I would also suggest that you repeat the day and time of the appointment. And you can ask them, have I answered, all of your questions. Always think about what is it that the person calling is asking for. Are they asking for an appointment? Are they asking for evening hours? Are they asking for payment plans? Are they asking about, do I have to pay for parking? And let's say that, no, I don't have evening plans, no, I don't have payment plans, and yes, you have to pay for parking when you come in. Those are all going to be barriers to entry to your being profitable. And it's very hard for a front office person, doctor, to script that kind of scenario. The reality is that if the dental practice isn't bringing more money in, then the owner can't afford to hand more money out, no matter how hardworking and loyal the employees are. But that doesn't mean that you don't have any control over your income potential. So, in fact, I've tried to show you today how the opposite is true, that you have the ability to get through proven results and better verbiage and scripting of how to get the patients to do what it is that you want them to do. So I want to invite you to do this free revenue potential assessment. And if you just email me at info@mckenziemgmt.com, then I will send you the link to the assessment. They come to me personally, so I will do it, review it, myself, and then I'm absolutely going to expect you to be available for us to go over it with you then, so we can tell you what we found and possibly what's causing that. So I want to thank everybody for attending tonight's webinar, and I invite you also to go to my website at mckenziemgmt.com, and there you will find I have a complimentary practice management library. I also have complimentary free podcasts there. I have books and DVDs, so I have a whole dental management product division on the website. If you're interested more in self-help, you can do that. And you can explore also our different types of consulting programs that we have. We don't have just one. I have a very robust menu of services. And if you have any questions from tonight's webinar or about anything else, you can just email me at info@mackenziemgmt.com. It comes directly to me, and I will respond.